cost, that one.
Yes, it's the profession that terrifies us most.
£5 to repair it, and that was it. They ripped her off for about £4,000.
It's the builder, and it's never his fault.
I don't think you should pull a fast one on the builder, because at the end of the day you could live to regret it.
Gets on the forklift, goes up to this wall, straight through it, bang.
Because all he wants is a nice cup of tea and a friendly client.
If you're going to shut them out of the toilet and make them piss in the garden, then obviously they're going to feel bad about it.
I'm a builder, and I'm here to confess.
I think the beauty about being a builder is you can pull a scam on a punter and get away with it forever because you can hide it behind a layer of paint. It's as simple as that. If you buy a bad pair of jeans and they rip, you know they've ripped. If a builder puts dog's turds in your cavity wall, you're never going to know.
Builders know every single shortcut there is in the book, and if there's one to be had and that adds on to the amount of money you're going to make at the end of the gig, then that's going to go on the job.
Viewers, be warned. Your builder may be a master craftsman, but he dreams about making oodles of cash by spending a great deal of time doing, well, nothing very much. Take a warning from an honest workman.
If you want to extend a plumbing job, put a rusty nail into the water supplies, brown water comes out, then you need me back.
If it's specified that the client wants 5 coats on a ceiling, he wouldn't know if you've put 1 coat or 20 coats on. But when he comes, to see their face light up and he says, "What coat's this, Mick?" And you say, "I'm on the 4th now, the next one is the 5th. And you know full well it's the 2nd one you're going to put on. They don't know.
You can get away with it because they'll come home, yeah, looks great, right, cha-ching, there's the money in the bank, see you later. By the way, I'll be changing my mobile phone number in 2 hours' time.
Painters and decorators go into a job, and obviously they give an estimate, and the estimation is to use good quality paint. And what they do is they roll up on the job. They get an empty tin that was good quality stuff, but then they go and buy the cheaper version. As soon as they got to the job, it was get the cheap tin of paint, throw it into the quality one. The customer would be paying like an extra £10, £15 per tin. Now, on a big job, if you say you're talking about 15, 20 cents of paint, you're talking about a lot of money.
The ultimate goal for a builder is to pay absolutely nothing for his materials. And he can do this by borrowing someone else's, for free.
The basic builder, pretty honest, but if he can take a few bricks here or a bit of material there, it's just part of the job. We worked replacing some ridge tiles on a row of terraced houses, and when we got up to the roof, we realised we didn't have the right ridge tiles to fit the tiles that were on there. But fortunately, next door did have. So we borrowed a couple from next door and put them onto the house that we were repairing. And then we thought, well, we better knock on next doors now and see if they want their roof repairing, because we'd taken their 2 ridge tiles off. We did the same there, and we took them from next door, and we worked our way right down the row of terraced houses until we got to the last one. Obviously, we didn't have the right tiles to put on them, so we didn't bother knocking on their door. We didn't feel guilty about it. It was just a way of earning a living at the time.
The other big expense on a building job is getting rid of the rubbish. So your crafty builder will look to save himself some cash by using the space under your floorboards as a makeshift skip.
Yeah, I mean, most builders save on a skip or so.
They'll pick up the boards and they just put the rubbish down.
Put bricks under, you put pipes under.
Bits of wood.
Old sandwiches.
Copper piping.
Dead birds from the guttering.
Off cuts of plasterboard.
I mean, if there's an hole, you might as well fill it.
Anybody out there who's getting work done on the house, like, I'll check underneath the floors before they get any rubbish removed, you know.
At the end of the day, it's a little bit of insulation, but it's really not the right thing to do.
Well, on a roofing job, I'm supposed to take all these old slates off and all the old battens off. And then I'm supposed to get rid of them and put them in a skip, which means hiring a skip, a lot of expense. And what I do is, I'll just tile straight on top of the old slates, like that. Finished in no time. The attitude to money in the building trade is get as much of it as you can while you can, because you don't know when you're not going to have any.
The dodgy builder doesn't need to go on the dole, because you are his social security. Yes, he will use his imagination to keep you calling him back again and again and again.
We called out to block gutters, blocked with leaves or debris or whatever. You get up there, you clear the gutters out. When you've finished the job, tennis ball is roughly the same size diameter as the downspout. So we put the tennis ball in and it stops the water flowing down the downspout. 3 or 4 weeks later, leaves fill up again, get another call out, go back to do the job, up, onto the gutter, sluice everything away, down, jobs are good and again, tennis ball back in, called out again, because the debris can't get down the downspout.
Not all builders will pull these kinds of scams. So how do you find the honest workman who won't take you for a ride?
Remember, always get a price for your materials and your labour, or you could get ripped off.
To avoid being ripped off, the experts advise you to get a quote in writing. But even here, there are hidden dangers.
The estimate is probably the biggest scam there is going for any builder.
Majority of customers know nothing about the cost of building there.
You could really blind them with science.
The posher they are, the more they pay.
Because people don't know, you know. You walk in and go, oh yeah, you know, this electrics needs redoing, you need quantum trip switches on there and it all needs to be pinned in with Davy hooks. You know Davy hooks, metal hooks, bender? No such thing ever. But they don't know that. People go, oh yeah, I know what you mean.
If you go to normal working class people, something like that, then you are more lenient with the price.
If you don't know anything about building, then the only way you can employ a builder satisfactorily is to do it through a surveyor or an architect. Because if you just get somebody out of the Yellow Pages or somebody from an advert, you, as a layman, you've got absolutely no way of checking up on them. I mean, they might be kosher, but they might not be, and you just don't know the right questions to ask.
The amount of times I've been going to a job with a guy who's pricing his up, and on the way he's talking about, oh, my mate's bought a jet ski at the weekend, $2,500. And then you walk in and he's there pricing up the job and the poor client thinks he's weighing up the price of 4x2, looking at plasterboard and how much concrete he's going to need. And you sure enough at the end of it, I go, yeah, that'll be $2,500, just the price of a jet ski.
Some customers do try to protect themselves by getting quotes from 3 different builders. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work. Confessions has uncovered a practice called covering, which involves your local builders meeting for a friendly little chat down the pub.
The standard advice when you get a piece of building work done is always to get at least 3 quotes in, if not more. But very often these quotes aren't quite what they seem. You know, the builders naturally talk amongst themselves. They meet down the builders' merchants or they meet on the street and they exchange information. And quite often they'll get together and they know which jobs they're being asked to do and they'll simply arrange amongst themselves who's going to do it and what price they're going to pay.
Some guys might have too much work on, other guys not enough. You know, I'm sure they'll be able to get together and decide which one of them's going to get the job. You know, on the price and stuff like that. You know, somebody will, 2 or 3 of them will price themselves out the job.
What can you, the consumer, do about it? Well, actually, precious little. Just accept that there's the price you're going to be charged for building work.
But in the end, 3 is always better than 1. Because in the fantastic land of the estimate, anything is possible.
This company I used to work for, we went down to this particular customer's house because the boiler's not working. And obviously went in and my boss says, what was the problem? Anyway, she was in the kitchen at the time and was in the boiler house. So he says, just get us a bucket of water. I said, what for? He said, just get it here. So I passed in this bucket of water.
Colin handed the bucket to his boss, who poured the water behind the boiler. His boss then told the customer the boiler had sprung a leak.
He says, excuse me, look, it says, I think you've got a problem with your boiler, real bad. She's panicking, like, what am I going to do? He says, well, we have a new one back at yard, and we'll put it in for you. I said, oh, great, can you do it today? He said, oh, yeah, we can do it today for you. So my boss said, right, we'll take this in out. She's got to have another boiler in. So we've got her. We're going to charge what we like. Literally rip her off, and they did do. About £4,000 they ripped her off for a new boiler. And the only problem was that a thermocoupling had gone on it. £5 to repair it, and that was it. They ripped her off for about £4,000.
This is quite a common sort of occurrence where you have people coming into a house and exaggerating the need for work to be done, when in fact maybe the work is only a very, very small item that needs to be carried out.
I did feel guilty about it at the time, It's something I won't do myself because I know, you know, you can't totally rip people off like this. Too much of a conscience to do anything like that, but my boss insisted it had to be done, so I had to do it.
All builders need a break, for a bite to eat and the chance to go on a little adventure.
The first thing to know about having builders in your house is they never have a lunch break. They have a look round your house break.
But you're going to have a snoop, surely. You're going to have a look round.
My wife always makes sure there's no dirty washing in the house for them to go and have a route through. Hide your porn stash. Hide the video that you shot with the wife 3 years ago on holiday in that hotel room that you thought was secluded.
You've got to make yourself at home on the job. So you have to need to know the layout of everywhere. Check everything's working. Check the flush on the toilet, that's working, if you know what I mean. And lay your scent.
The lady that owned the house was a very nice woman and very attractive. She said, help yourself to whatever you want. It's all in the kitchen. You know where the tea and the biscuits are and everything else. So my mate who was in charge of the job, said, oh, thanks very much, from his little cupboard under the stairs where he's doing the boiler. Front door shuts, and the lad upstairs that was taking up the floorboards went all quiet for a few minutes, and the front door opened, and the woman come back in. She went straight up the stairs, went into the bedroom, and this guy had stopped doing what he was doing, and he was going through her underwear drawer, a dirty linen basket, and she, as cool as a cucumber, walked down the stairs and said, you know when I said help yourself to anything you like, I meant coffee and biscuits, and I think your friend has a bit of a problem.
It can be quite hard work, so you just got to get through the day and you just try and make as much fun as possible. It's like paid school for grown-ups in a lot of ways, working on a building site, because the humour's infantile and it's real back to basics.
No matter how hard you try, you will never keep secrets from a builder.
We got the job to redecorate the master bedroom. And the lady of the house phoned up and she said to me, would you mind taking the fitted wardrobes out? And when we got to this last wardrobe, we couldn't open it for love nor money. So we phoned her and she said, well, if it's only one, there were 5. If it's only one, you have to just smash it down. So we smashed it open and there was an inflatable doll. I was about to phone her and tell her what we'd found. And then I thought twice about it. When the husband came home, unbeknown to him, the wife had asked us to take these wardrobes down. He flew up the stairs to see how the decorating was going on. They saw the wardrobes down and approached me and he said, he was like thunder, and he said, the last wardrobe. I said, okay, we found it, we won't say anything. And he gave us 50 quid each for keeping our mouths shut.
When it comes to sex, the builder believes that one day he's gonna get lucky.
Some women like the look of builders.
A bit of rough and ready from the council estate.
Especially if they're a little bit posh.
And you go in and you're just fresh blood.
Like a bit of muck and sweat.
I remember reaching sixth form at school, being 16 years old, and there's all these girls I've fantasised of actually making love with, you know, all through my teenage years. And all of a sudden the builders turned up, yeah? And all the women that were the focus of my fantasies were all of a sudden sleeping with blokes called Gary who were 30 who drove a Ford Mondeo and had a set of spanners. I thought to myself, yeah, I'm going to be that man one day. I'm going to be Gary.
Of the builders interviewed by Confessions, nearly half claimed they'd had some sort of sex with a client.
We went down to this customer's house and she wanted a new multi-point button in the kitchen. So obviously with a nice busty blonde bed, like, you know, really tardy. We've got talking, like, and she says, I want my gas fire servicing. Can you come and do that for us? I said, yeah, do it next week for you. So anyway, I gets myself spruced up, I did, like, you know, to come and service a gas fire for her, like, you know. Just having a talk, like, and next thing we knew, we were in a clinch together, like, you know, just rolling about, and she took us upstairs and, yeah, heaven, sheer heaven, I tell you. It broke up my marriage, like, but she really went for it, I tell you.
Not all builders are looking for that little bit extra, but they do want to be paid and treated well. So whatever you do, don't abuse your builder, because you may live to regret it.
If you want the job done properly, the first thing you got to do is put the kettle on and make us a cup of tea.
The worst kind of customer you can have is when you're working in the house and they're following you about with a brush and pan.
Don't touch that, don't go in here.
Yeah, I don't want anyone using my toilet.
Watch my carpet, watch my cabinet, watch my ornaments.
So it's my private toilet, you must go somewhere else.
You seem to think that you're just peasants for some reason.
I worked for a family and they actually had toilet paper dispenser with sheets of toilet paper. And again, we were told to use the outside loo. But being middle of winter, we used the inside loo. And when we came in, all our stuff was outside the house. Everything that we were using in the house, all the tools and everything. We said, what's the problem? Have you had a burst or something, did you? He said, no, I don't want you in here. You used my loo yesterday. And we all swore, and she said, no, I counted the sheets of toilet paper before I left. And there were 14 missing.
Builders don't like being abused. So if a customer gets nasty, they'll use all their practical cunning to get their own back.
If you treat a builder badly, he won't say a word to you while you're there, but as soon as you're out the door, I mean, taking a bath and not cleaning out the plug is about the nicest thing he's going to do while he's out. You'll find things in the toilet, you'll find things on the top of your wardrobe, you'll find obscenities scrawled in the plasterwork, so that the next time you decorate, as soon as the decorator strips the wallpaper, all sorts of things are there for you to see.
There was one job we were on, and there was a couple there. They both were both professional people, but they were the most obnoxious, supercilious couple you could ever have the misfortune to come across these two. And he'd do anything to make your life a misery. And it was this lad working with us, and he'd had enough of them as well. A bit of a yobbo, this lad. So one day they both went out to work, they both worked, as I said. And he went out, and then in the back garden, they did the washing was out, and his air drawers and his underpants. And at the time, they were fiberglass in the loft, you know. So he said, right, he said, I'll go and get my own back on these two. He went, I got a load of fiberglass and just rubbed the fiberglass in the crotch of both pairs of the smalls. They were out to make your life a misery, you know, for some reason, and they got to come up and, you know.
One thing that's very annoying to me is if you don't get a cup of tea. One instance was a lady's house was working in. She'd been making her and her family drinks of tea for a couple of hours, every 20 minutes, without offering my colleague and I one. So we decided to turn the cold water supply off. We had no need to. Later on in the day, when we left at about 5:30, we turned the water back on. So if we weren't having a cup of tea, never were there.
This client, he was over my shoulder all day, every day. You've missed a bit, you've missed this, you've missed that. After 5 days, I'd had enough of him. So to get my own back on him, that day's lunch in my lunchbox was a tin of sardines. So I half opened the tin, unpicked the stitching on his chair, tacked it to the inside of the chair, tacked the lining back up. I was told some weeks later he got a priest in to exorcise the house because he thought it was possessed, because the smells in the house, he thought it was the devil come for him. I feel really, really terrible about it.
The builder reserves his most vicious acts of revenge for customers who commit the ultimate sin, not paying the bill.
The only times I've not been paid, it hasn't been by working class people, because they're usually very good about it. They don't like having debts. It's always like the middle classes who try to get away with it. The only 2 times I haven't been paid, one was by an architect and one was by a Harley Street doctor.
When a builder gets caught by a customer who doesn't pay, often there's not an awful lot they can do. They can't really afford to go to court because the amount of money isn't large enough to warrant huge lawyers' bills. But sometimes there's little things that they can do to get their own back.
Well, I don't think you should pull a fast one on a builder, because at the end of the day you could live to regret it.
A builder I know built a garage for this guy, and the guy refused to pay him at the end of the job. So what he did is he hired a hired lorry, which is a pickup lorry, went round the guy's house, picked his car off the drive and put it on the roof of the garage. And the guy rang the police, and the police come around and said, look, pay the guy the money and he'll take your car down. Now, to me, that was a quality payback story.
I've had previous experience on just small jobs where I fitted a ball valve for someone. Simple job, go there, haven't overcharged them, £45 for a ball valve. A year later, you still haven't been paid. And I've broken into the property and taken the ball valve out and find that it flooded the property.
How did you feel about doing that?
Well, I feel quite good about it, really. At the end of the day, I mean, you know, they don't pay. I mean, the property was rented out into flats. They'd expect their rent every week, the same as we expect paying.
Bricklayers Andy and Peter spent a week building the walls for a multi-million-pound factory in Germany.
We went to get our money at the end of the week and they said, well, no, we're not going to pay you, you just stay another week. We said, well, no, we're not staying another week.
After negotiating for as long as we could, we got half the money off the guy.
Thought we've got some money at least, so then we started negotiating again and they refused to pay us. So we thought, well, that's it.
And there was one of the forklift drivers and I asked him politely if I could borrow his forklift truck.
And he doesn't know why. He said, of course you can, Andy, you can have a forklift. Gets on the forklift, goes up to this wall.
And then we proceeded to knock down one of the walls that we'd built.
Straight through it, bang. Turns to me, is that enough, Pete, you know?
To cover the money we're owed. He said,
no, that's need one more wall at least to cover the cost of what they owe us.
I did one more.
Bang, lovely jubbly.
He then said, I think that's enough.
And he's calm as a cucumber. I'm ready to go. I'm starting to get a bit panicky.
But just in case I demolished another section, just for good measure.
And he said, one more for luck.
The clients didn't even know it had happened probably till afterwards. The rest of the guys on the site knew it happened, but I think it was shocked silence as opposed to anything else.
I felt terribly guilty. But my mate on the forklift, who should have felt guilty, didn't care at all.
Justice prevailed.